It's good to be here. There's two reasons it's good to be here. First of all, I left France 30 years ago to come to Wales. I went to study in Atlantic College down the road. So it's good to be back in Wales. It's also good to be here because the only word I know is Nadal Llawen, which if you open a conference saying Nadal Llawen in June, it's kind of weird. But right now it feels okay. So Nadal Llawen to you all. I came to this room, you were drumming as I walked in, and it was a bit frightening, I have to say, so I will warn the French rugby team when we meet in the final that they'll have to... I'm not Australian, give me a break. I don't... listen, when I heard Jean White speak, and I got worried when she spoke, and what worried me was she was saying things like the whole northern hemisphere is going to learn from you, and I was about to clap, and I realized I was the only guy about to clap, and you were all going, yeah, well, whatever, you know, it's fine. Bring it on, what else, you know. So I thought these people are obviously kind of falling asleep somehow, so I was trying to find a way to energize you, and I can't drum. And I'm not a trainer or anything, so I haven't got a little energizer. So I was looking in my laptop if I could find anything. I was sitting at the back. And I went to Rachel and I said, Rachel, I found a thing that I'd like to use at the beginning of my talk just to get people energized. Now, just so you know, the only thing I could find on my laptop was a math test that my daughter had asked me to print. Now, she's 8, okay, well, she was 8 when she asked me to print, but she said to me, Papa, can you print it? That's the only French she knows. She said, Papa, can you print this? So I've got a math test, and I'm going to give it to you, because that's all I could find. So Rachel kindly printed it for me. Now, am I anyone who's French in the room, or am I the only? Okay, so there should be no cheating, which is a good thing. So I've put 10 in a pack, and I'm going to give them to each of the tables. I'm going to ask you to pick up a pen, but please don't look at the test. Remember, she was 8. It's not that difficult. There's no more than 2 digits per number. Yeah? So even if you're in HR or management, it's fine. Okay? It's no bigger than the NHS budget, just about. Can you just run about and leave one on each table for me? Is that okay? You don't have to run about. Don't injure yourself. Do you want to do that one? Thank you. So don't open it. Just get a pen. Would you mind giving some Johnny? Do you know you look like Johnny Hive from Apple? You dress like him as well. Hello. This is so exciting. Have you all got an envelope? You've got an envelope? Don't touch it, right? Don't touch the envelope. Have you all got one? Who said no? Do you mind passing? Thank you. Have you all got enough? No, at the back over there. Okay, so just so you know, here is what we're going to do. When I tell you to, just when I tell you to, open the envelope and just take a test. Please make sure it's face down, because otherwise by the time you've looked at it, you'll have done half of them already. Okay, so, and basically the idea is to do as many as you can, as quickly as you can. Now, the difference between you and my daughter is I'm not going to tell you how long you've got, other than to say you don't have very long. So I'm going to be looking for you to do as many as you can, as quickly as you can. I'm going to walk about, and when somebody is finished, I'll stop everybody. Okay? Does that make sense? So please open the envelope and distribute the test face down. Face down. Do not look, do not hold them to the light. Face down. Nobody's supposed to see what's going on. Do not look at them, okay? That would be cheating. You haven't got any. Do not look at them. Don't touch them. Do not look at them. Has everybody got... Do not look at... No, I saw you. You were already cheeky with the drum. Have you all got one? Okay, so when I say go, you turn them around and you do as many as you can, as quickly as you can. 1, 2, 3, go. Okay, so Charlotte, that's my daughter's name. She would have done 3 by now. She's half French, so she has an advantage over you. But I'm sure you should be about 3 or 4 down by now. Some people are halfway down the first column. If you're working sideways, see me afterward. That's really weird. Somebody's almost finished 1 column. Anybody? Oh, my goodness. 1 person is almost done. Finance person, probably. And I'm going to stop you in 1 minute, so just make sure that, okay, oh, somebody's almost done here at the first table. Oh, yes, he's the chief executive. All right. Okay, stop. Don't forget about the test. Stop. Now you should be awake. Who's done the whole thing? Anybody done 1.5 column or thereabouts? 1.5. Put your hands up. Yeah, 1.5. Good. Good. 1 column. Half a column. 2 or 3. Who's got 16 for the first one? Who's got 16? Who's got 10? The people who've got 10, just read the instructions before we move on. Now, okay, so I guess the key lesson of today is never trust a Frenchman. I think that's fair to say. That's the big point. If you look, this is a really sad moment for me because I have now done this test for a number of years. I've even written about this test in my second book, which means that none of you have read it, which is always a bit sad. But you know, I'm realistic. So here is what happens. Everywhere you go, the same things happen. You tell people, my daughter, and she's 8, can do it. And there is a little voice in your head that says, I'm going to beat that kid. You know? Then I say she's half French, and you think I doubly want to beat her now. This is called your achievement drive. So you go and you go, come on, I'm going to do it. And 90% of the time, this is what happens. Now, a few people have been on a course, and they've been told if you want to achieve anything, a bit of self-control is a good thing. So they always get it right. There's a few of them. Who got it right? Who got the right thing? Stand up, people. Stand up. Feel good about yourself. Come on, stand up. Come on, be proud. Now, those people feel really good right now, so we need to change that for the rest of you. You see, what never really happened is for somebody to stand up and say, oh, by the way, everybody, just so you know, I'm not sure you've spotted this, but there's a trick. That has never happened to me. It's happened once that a lady turned to the gentleman next to her and said, hey, by the way, there's a trick. And he said, shut up, I'm working. That's the only time it's ever happened to me. But I never said it was a test. But the truth is that we kind of all love a hero. We kind of want to be the hero. We kind of learn very quickly, and you have to thank your teachers for that actually things are about a certain level of achievement. I mean, you know, and if you have children, if you bring them up like most parents do, you'll say to your children, please share your toys. Please share with them, be kind to other children. And then they go to school and they're faced with the test. So the first thing they do is they share the test, because Mommy and Daddy have always said, share something. And then the teacher says, oh, Charlotte Gobillot, unfortunate name. This is a test. You're supposed to do it on your own. So from that moment onwards, we learn to cope, and we learn that actually if you want to be anything, if you want to do anything, if you want that A+, that A star or whatever, you're on your own. Now the problem that I have is I want to talk to you about today, how can you be together again? Because there is one thing that strikes me is, who cares for you? You know, who cares for you? Who is going to help you go through the things that you go through each and every day? My life is quite straightforward. I go and I meet people and I chat, and sometimes I get paid. It's marvelous. I am never faced in my life with the stuff that you face with each and every day. And if your life is about caring for other people, it's a bit like a battery. You know, I have a view that you are a bit like a battery, that your job is about giving hope and energy to people. But then where do you get recharged? You know, where does that battery get recharged again so that you have more energy to go? Now, for most people, it gets recharged at home. Now, that's not really fair, because you take the energy from home and you spend it at work, and then you seldom give anything back because you're kind of tired at the end of the day. So actually, my point today is, how are we going to energize each other? How are we going to care for each other when actually our organization is built on that model? When we've built an organization that is so good at disconnecting us from each other, and yet the only way we can achieve anything is through the connections that we have. So that's the plan for today. And the idea is quite simple, is it says actually, that's the model you need to forget. The reality lies in what I call discretionary effort. The reality is that the only way you can be a hero is if you rely on the people around you, if you manage to release their discretionary effort. You know, we all have effort. We all do our jobs. But actually, when we've got that little bit of effort left in our pocket, what do we do with it? Can we get it and can we allocate it to each other? And how should we go about that? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to show you how you can reconnect and how you can help each other and how you can care for each other. And there's a way in which we can do this. And to understand, I need to make the difference between two things, an organization and a company, because I do believe that you are both. So you work for an organization, and it looks something like that. I've never had to change that slide at all, because they all look the same. So I change the color every now and again, because I can charge more for that, because it's tailored. And then because I know you guys are in the health sector, you've had McKinsey and BCG and all the big consulting house dealing with you, so they've put dotted lines. Now, nobody's got a clue what they do, but you've paid about £500,000 per dotted line, so we might as well put them on the chart. If you're ever wondering why you've got a dotted line, it's McKinsey's way of saying, you guys should really talk to each other. But you can't really charge for saying that, so you put a dotted line. But that's basically an organization. And it relies on three things in order to work. It relies on roles, rules, and economic incentive. Every institution, every organization relies on that. This is your job, that's your role. This is how you do it, that's the rule. And if you do it well, you get paid. That's the incentive. Now, there's another kind of organization at work. And I call it having friends. Management thinkers call it social network analysis. But it's basically you and I knowing that you cannot achieve anything in an organization unless you know somebody. That if you follow the chart and if you follow the process throughout the organization, you'll probably end up in a weird place. So you call your mate. Yeah, you kind of say, hey, look, I'm facing this, and how about this, and how about that? That's a social network, and it's a bunch of people trying to make sense of the world. I like to call this a company, because I like the Latin root of company, because it's the same as companionship. It's about breaking bread together. How do we get together and make sense of the world with each other? And if you think about your world, it's kind of a combination of the two. And the key is to understand that a company is about individuals. It's not about roles. It's about friends. It's about people. It's about reciprocity. It's about give and take. It's about doing something for one another. And it's about a sense of social and moral obligation. It's about how do we feel towards the people around us and what are we prepared to commit to them. Now we have an issue in the workplace. Those two worlds are not only disconnected, but they fight each other. And I'll give you an example going back to my daughter. When she turned 8, she said, Papa, I want pocket money. Now, you guys are normal parents. You have a choice. You say yes or you say no. I am not a normal parent. I'm a leadership development professional. So when my daughter says, Papa, I want pocket money, I'm thinking, ooh, this is a learning opportunity. So I said, darling, I could give you pocket money, but I won't. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try to teach you the value of pocket money through the use of an incentive scheme. My daughter is 17. She calls me a loser now. But at the time, she didn't. She said, all right, Pops, we live in Essex. So here is how it worked. This is a true story, unfortunately. Here is how it works. So at home, I have a flip chart on the fridge because I'm an HR professional. We always have flip charts at home. There's one on the fridge, and it says this. For brushing your teeth every day, you will get 10 pence. For brushing your hair, she's got long hair. For brushing your hair every day, you'll get 10 pence. For tidying your bedroom every day, you will get 10 pence. For doing your homework every day, you will get 40 pence, because in France, education is more important than hygiene. And I'm trying to teach her cultural values of mine, you know? So anyway, payday is on a Sunday. I'm sitting at home on a Saturday, reading the paper, and there's no noise in the house. I have 2 children. If there's no noise in your house and you have 2 children, there's trouble. Something's going on. And that just sent Charlotte to tidy her bedroom on the understanding that she'd done most things. And therefore, if she could only tidy her bedroom, I'd put one she never meets, because I'd put, do you have stretch targets? Do your manager send you? The stretch targets was, don't argue with your brother. It's safe. You're never going to have to pay that one. You know? It's a bit like a stretch target at work. You know you can't achieve it, because if you do, then it wasn't stretched enough. I've never understood the point. Anyway, so, no noise. So I go upstairs, open the bedroom, push the bedroom door. Toys are in the way. Complete mess in the bedroom. Charlotte is lying on her bed, painting her nails with the Barbie varnish. Essex again. Now, I've been in the UK 30 years. I do not hit my children before I talk to them now. I mean, I'm not French anymore. My mom's telling me, oh, you're not French anymore. Not that my mom speaks to me with a French accent in English, but anyway. So I said, Lulu, I call her Lulu. I said, look, Lulu, we had a deal. You were going to go upstairs, you were going to tidy your bedroom, I was going to give you 10 pence, it was going to be marvelous. And Charlotte looked back at me, the most beautiful eyes in the world. She said, Papa, I've been thinking. For 10 pence, it's not really worth it, is it? Was the answer. Now, this is the reality of work. She had learned something. Yeah? She joined Unison, she's with her brother, it's all fine. But that's not the big issue. Because the issue is, if you're on this side, you want to make the economic incentive commensurate with the perceived amount of effort. That's the law of incentive scheme, and so I had to up the price. My big issue was the following weekend where we were going to see Grandma and Grandpa. Because when the following weekend came and I said, Lulu, G, my son is called George, Lulu, George, come on down, we're going to go and see Grandma and Grandpa. Charlotte ran to the kitchen, she went straight to the flip chart, she looked at it 3 times, she turned around and said, Papa, how much is it for Grandma and Grandpa? Because it's not on the flip chart. And this is the issue. The issue is the minute you introduce an economic incentive, you suddenly remove social and moral obligation. Everything comes at a price. Everything has a rule attached. Everything needs to be in the job description. Now, the problem is, if we're trying to care for each other, we have no idea what's in the job description. We don't know what caring looks like. We don't even know who needs it until they ask for it. So we have an issue where actually, even at work, we're conflicted between those 2 worlds. And what I really want us to focus on is, how do we reconnect them? How can we ensure that actually the energy which we have at that level is applied to the delivery of our objective? Please don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that the top doesn't matter. Of course it matters. If I walk into an A&E department today, I don't want you to have a meeting to think about what you might do. I just want you to get on with it and save my life, please. Yeah? So, of course the top matters. Of course it matters to be organized. Of course it matters to have rules, processes, roles, description, and so on. Of course you need to be paid. But the truth is, how do we get the energy which we know we have applied to that and applied to helping each other? So, for me, there's 3 things that you can do in order to reconnect the 2 worlds. And I want to walk you through the 3 of them and then take any questions you might have. The first is, in order to be able to help anybody, you have to be trusted within that environment, within that network. Now, we have weird notions about trust. Partly cultural. You British people, I'm not going to trust you until I've really chatted to you and got to know you, and with a Welsh accent, obviously. But, you know, actually, we even, organizations are brilliant because they say, look, in order to trust each other, we have to know each other. Let's get to know each other. You go to Starbucks. I was going to say, do you have Starbucks? But that would have sounded wrong. I don't mean it as a kind of Welsh insult, like, a Starbucks made it here? You know, I didn't mean it that way. Now, I don't know if you go to Starbucks, but when you go to Starbucks, they have this habit now of asking for your name. You know, there was a meeting in Seattle somewhere at the headquarters where they say, you know, we're losing the connection with our customers. We should know them by name. We need to ask for their name. Now, it's fine if you call Tom, but if you called Emmanuel, it means you have to wait a really long time for your coffee. Is that Emmanuel with two M's, one N, two L's, two? Is it Manuel? No, that's the movie thing. Is it, you know, nightmare. I call myself Tom. This is actually my cup. Now, when I go to Starbucks, they say, "What's your name?" I go, "It's Tom." This is no joke. I was working in the US, and it was early. I landed. I was completely jet lagged, and I was in New York, and I went to get a Starbucks, and they said, "What's your name?" And I said, "Tom." And then I stood in the end bit where you wait for your coffee, and this woman was going, "Coffee for Tom." That's my American accent. "Coffee for Tom. Coffee for Tom." And I'm looking at my watch going, "Oh, come on, Tom, mate. Whatever. We're all waiting." And then I remembered, so I said, "Oh, that's me." And then everybody's looking at me going, the guy didn't know his name. He needs coffee, you know. But organizations are crazy about trust. They think, oh, well, if I know your name, it's all going to be fine, you know. I mean, this is even better. Amazon. Now, Amazon say, but we have a relationship. We know each other. Emmanuel, we know you so well. You buy so many books from us that we can make recommendations we know you're going to love. I know, because I wrote 2 of them. They're brilliant. It's also very sad when you start buying your own books. Just a tip. This is not a relationship. Yeah, this is a pretend relationship. And we're good at trying with pretend relationships at work. You know, you have mid-year review. Do you know, you do performance management and all that stuff. You know, it's about, I mean, it always makes me laugh. You know, can you imagine what it would look like at home? Kids, it's the 1st of January. Let us set some objectives for the year. I will leave you alone for the next 6 months and we'll reconvene in 6 months' time to measure progress. That would be brilliant. My kids would be delighted. Yes, please. Disappear for 6 months. Relationships are different. Yeah, these are not relationships. Relationships happen through a process of making each other stronger and more capable. The idea of relationship, I put an elephant here because that's the only thing you need to remember. See, the memory thing. I know, it's good. Think about trust in this way. If somebody makes you feel stronger and more capable, you will forever trust them. You know that because you do it every day to your patients. Teachers know that because they do it every day. I'm sure you all remember a teacher, a boss, somebody way back in the past who took a risk on you. Somebody who helped you out. Somebody who made you do the things that you didn't really think you could do but did it anyway. These are the people you'll trust forever. Once you've done it once, once you've made somebody, and I don't mean make them feel happy. My little boy George, that is not his name. He's not called Boy George, okay, just so we're clear. Come on, oh yeah, I'm a big fan. He's just called George, but he's a boy. So my little boy George, he wanted to learn to swim, but he never wanted to get in the water. There comes a point where you have to push the kid. Okay? Now, of course, you make sure that somebody's in the water to catch the child. You don't just stand back and laugh, as I learned. But I can tell you, at that stage, even when all the precautions were taken, George was not entirely happy. So it's not about making someone happy, but it's about making them feel stronger. It's about showing them that they can be more than they can be. And if you do that, people will trust you irrespective of what you do next. If you give people that strength, they will trust you. And so that's the key to then unlocking this kind of relationship between each other where we help each other, where we care for each other, is to start at that place. Can I make you feel stronger and more capable? Now, once you've done that, you can move on to the second bit. How do we help each other achieve our objectives when we're so busy doing our own stuff? How can we help each other connect so that we can direct the energy we've just gained to the delivery of the objectives? Now, we do that through purpose. Purpose is a big word. You're probably the only audience I will speak to this year that really have embedded purpose in your work. I mean, I talk about purpose to every organization. I say the same thing to most, but with you, I don't have to work as hard to make it fit, because there's actually purpose in your work. Most organizations, whether they do light bulbs, mobile phone, whatever they do, they go, oh yeah, we're going to make the world a better place through mobile phones, or through light bulbs, or through cars, or whatever it is they do. Washing powder is going to save the world. And with you, it's kind of a bit clear, it's a bit more clear how you help to save the world. So purpose is about that, but it's about something else. It's about how do you articulate the help you need? How do you articulate what it is that you want out of people? I like to think about it a bit like a movie poster. Now, this is a film. Anybody seen Fighting? Anybody admitting to seeing Fighting? I haven't seen that film. But if I tell you the movie is called Fighting, and the tagline is, I'm going to do the deep American voice, some dreams are worth the fight. You know, like they do on I can't do it, can I? Some dreams are worth the fight. Now, if I tell you this is Fighting, it says some dream, you know the film. Even if you haven't seen the film, you can work out the film. Young guy, probably poor, fights his way to the top. Halfway through the film, kind of gets the girl, but she thinks, oh no, I can't be, he's a loser, so he fights some more. Eventually she comes back, there's bound to be a kiss at the end. It's Rocky with a better looking guy, is my guess. Right? You kind of know that it's not the same film as this one. Fired up, 2 guys, 300 girls, you do the math. Now, despite the fact that we now know only 6 of you can do the math, we've tested that. You know that this is not a date movie. Yeah? This is not darling, fancy a film tonight. Yeah? This is straight to DVD, beers on the pizza. Yeah? This is not, you don't want to be seen in the queue for this one. I tell you, I found one specially for you. Look at that. He was dead, but he got better. Now, that is the ultimate nursing movie, isn't it? Isn't it? Now, this is a sequel when you've killed the guy in the first one. This is like, what are we going to do now? That's okay, bring him back. I mean, this one is a bit of a cheat because Jason only does one type of film. So if you've seen one of Jason's movies, you've seen them all. But here is the point, though. With a simple film, with a simple tagline, with a simple image, you kind of know the story. And for me, that's what purpose is about. It's about, can I quickly get you to know the story? Can we share the same story quickly, even though we haven't really been working closely with each other? Can we find a joint purpose? And there's a very easy way to think about it. Who's just gone, ah? Look at you, you are so mean. You go, it wasn't me, it was her. It was her. She's the soppy guy. Thank you, because there's always one. You know, you show a picture of a panda and people go, oh. No, the panda is brilliant. It's an aberration. That thing shouldn't even be alive. Nature has been trying to kill the panda for about 200 years, okay? This thing is a carnivore that decided to go vegetarian and its stomach can't cope. Nature is fighting hard to kill it off. And you people, every time you see a picture, you give a quid. Nobody knows why. You go, oh, but it's so cute. Isn't it? There you go. Have a bit of cash. Now, if you're WWF, not the wrestling people, the World Wildlife Foundation, if you're WWF, this guy helps you a lot because you don't have to explain anything to people. You just have to show them that, and they give you cash. My point about purpose is, what's your panda? That is probably the weirdest thing you'll have heard today. What's your panda? How do you get me engaged to the point that I want to help you and go, oh, here is a quid. There's a very simple way to devise your own purpose, to find your own panda, to do your movie poster, to do whatever you want to call it. Bear with me, it'll become clear. You start with, who are we? There you go. Wait for it. Ta-da! Hey, hey, hey. Oh, yeah. You know, exactly. There's always one, Belgium. And that covers everybody. So, anyway, who are we? Start from that point of view. Who are we together? Who am I? Who are we? What is the relationship that we could have with each other? Where are we going? What are we trying to achieve? And one for the Cardiff people, why are we going there? Yeah? So, what are we trying to build with each other? Can I build a story for us that would make sense? Why do I need your help? Why are you in this with me? If you identify that purpose, then you can get somewhere. Then you can start to do the next thing we need to do, which is to maintain the alignment. And maintaining the alignment is all about dialogues. It's all about conversations. And I have a worry in life. And my worry is this. My worry is that every time I go to an organization, being in the public sector, in the private sector, wherever I go, I always have somewhere somebody doing an Elvis impersonation. Because they say, a little less conversation, a little more action, please. We don't have time, Emmanuel, to have dialogue. You don't understand, the budgets are cut. We have to do so much more than we used to. Of course, we had time to meet, but now we can't meet. We just have to get on with it and do this and do this and do that. Here is the issue, though. Nothing is ever achieved without a conversation to start it. Nothing. There is nothing you can do without a conversation. People say, oh, Emmanuel, did your leaders say that sometimes? What gets measured gets done. Well, there is only one reason that what gets measured gets done is because the only thing that you talk about is what you measure. So, of course, it achieves focus, and given you're my boss, I'll do what it is you keep on banging on about, which is the stuff that you measure. So it always comes back to this idea of conversations. And I know that when times are tough, conversation is the first thing that disappears in your world. But please try to re-engineer conversation into the workplace, and a different kind of conversation. A conversation that starts to generate new possibilities. There was a session there about cancer patients, operations being cancelled, and now they're not cancelled anymore because you've put a bed on the side. And who was there?
Yeah, that was me.
See? This one you claim credit for, huh? Nothing to do with her. She's the panda girl. But you know, there was the session happening at the back, and then we were sitting down just kind of admiring the crazy achievement of going from 95 cancellation to no cancellation. My mind boggles as a potential patient of yours. I'm thinking, this is fantastic. And then I said, how did this happen? And the answer is always the same. It started as a conversation where somebody said, how good could we be? And this is the place where we need to start. We need to stop starting every conversation from what is broken to actually starting from, can we discover what great looks like? What is it that we do when we're at our best? Not what is it that we've done when we've messed up. We know those conversations take place, but the ones that really matter are the ones that start with, what is it that we do when we're at our best? How did it work? Can we discover? This is not a real doctor, by the way. I know you're not an American audience, but I always make sure I say it. Americans call the guy, you know. And it's always lupus, isn't it? I have no idea what lupus is. I know I don't want it. Because it's always lupus. 1 hour program, and the answer is lupus. Sorry to break it to you if you haven't seen any. But here is the thing. You start from what does a fully functioning human being look like in the health sector, and you try to work your way back there. You don't start necessarily from what does a broken leg look like. You just want to start the other way around. And that's the kind of conversation. There is a word I cannot pronounce for the life of me. I've tried very hard through the years. I can't. Do you call them ground round? Ground round? Does that? You know when you go around, when the doctors go around? Something like that. Humor me. But you know, when you go around and you start talking about actually what does good look like? What does good look like? Because then when we've discovered what good look like, we can start to dream about what would it be if we were always like this? What would it look like if we never cancelled an operation? Because then at that stage you go, well, of course we would have to have a bed. Duh! All right. Who's got a bed at home? A spare one that they could bring in and sneak in the corridor, which is roughly what you guys do, is my understanding. But it's true, though. You start from saying, okay, how can we replicate that? How can we make it better? Because then we can design the processes. We can make sure that we've got everything in place. Because then it happens. Then we own our destiny. We are not dependent on anybody to come with a magic ball and say, well, you know, maybe this time it's going to work. And the truth is, nothing is going to happen unless first you establish that trust. First you think, can I help other people be stronger and more capable? And help them on what? Help them on whatever purpose you've set for yourself and for each other. What's your film? What do you look like? You guys are doing such an incredible job each and every day. What does your poster look like? Where is the lady? The lady that's just been doing some work in Africa. This is where like there's 6 hands in the air. Now, you know, here is somebody who's just been going out to like all the Ebola places that we tend not to go to holiday in anymore. But just says, okay, I'm going to make the world a better place. And then you say, but people don't know about this. And she goes, well, are they interested? You go, yeah, too right, we're interested. That humility that you have built in. Please have as much humility as you want, but not with each other anymore. Share what you do. Talk about what you do. Start those conversations that says, how can we help each other? Because actually, fundamentally, nobody outside this room is going to care for you. We're too busy caring for ourselves. And we're scared when we come to you. So when we go back out, we'll write a note and say, thank you, the nurses in the NHS, the midwives were fantastic. And then we move on with our lives. And then you're left to deal with the beauty and the outrageous nature of human nature. So you can care for each other. And if you do those 3 things, the link that you build with each other would be that little bit more focused, that little bit stronger, then actually you'll help create the new bed or whatever it is that you need to create. Now, I'm just going to ask you to think about it for a moment. And, you know, I'll give you my email at the end if you have thoughts and stuff. In Emmanuel's world, everything is possible. Because I don't have a real job. I went to a parents' evening once, and the teacher said, oh, Mr. Gobillot, I'm really sorry. And I thought, yeah, I knew my kids were bad, but not that bad, you know, that you need to... She said, no, about your job. I'm sorry you've lost your job. I'm sitting here going, I haven't lost my job. She said, well, Charlotte told us that you spent all your days at home lying on the settee reading books. We thought you'd lost your job. I said, no, that's research. And serve the net. So I haven't got a real job. So for me, everything is simple. Everything is possible. I know you have a real job. So if there's anything in your head that says, well, hang on, how does that really work? Come on, Emmanuel, surely a panda. Fire it back at me, and we can have a conversation to help you. But, you know, I finish every speech with this. This is a number. I don't know if it's a big number to you or a small number to you, but I can make it feel quite small quite quickly because 14,600 is roughly the number of days you have left to live. Now, I'm just looking around the room. I've been generous, I'm just saying. I was doing a thing at a startup once, and I said this, and one of the guys at the back said, well, actually, Emmanuel, in my case, it's more like 23,762. And I thought, no, it's 1, because I'm going to kick you right now. But no, 14,600. So now, why am I telling you this? In 2003, we did a little piece of research with colleagues from the US. We went to people over the age of 65. We said, look, you're about to die. You know, break it gently. We can deal with it. We're trained. If you could do it all over again, what would you do differently? Yeah, what is it that you would do differently? And what was incredible to us is that most of the people said the same thing, or a permutation of 3 things. So I'm going to give you the 3 things they said, and I'm sure most of you have met more people closer to those last days than I have, but just so you know, it's a permutation of those 3. People say, I would take time to stop and ask the big questions. I'd be more courageous and take more risk in life and in love, and that'd work. And I would try to live with a purpose, make a difference. Now, when those days come, please don't think of me. That would be weird, okay? Just so you know. But I've told you now, so you haven't got any excuse anymore, because I told you what you're likely to regret. So you can start quicker. But the bit for me, the bit that really matters out of all of this, is not the courage bit, because I know you've got bucket loads, because if you didn't have courage, you wouldn't be doing what you're doing, or you'd have given up ages ago. The reason why this really matters to me is the big questions. Because I know that things are difficult, I know that things are tough, but with each other, you can ask those big questions that make a real difference to each other, to each other. Everybody in the NHS, our purpose is to care, patient care and stuff. Forget it. That's taken as read. Care for each other, because if you start doing that, then the care for patient will automatically happen. That's a belief of mine, which I hope I've managed to share. Because, you know, the difference tomorrow is we kind of know the Earth is going to turn pretty much the same way it turned today. Probabilities are on my side. The kind of only difference really is this. There'll just be one less. So on this cheerful note, I'm still here. I haven't got a train to catch. I'll be delighted to answer any question or share any thoughts that you have. If you don't want to make a fool of yourself by asking it in front of everybody, which seems to be a theme here. Dr. White said, have you got any questions? You said, no, I had questions. I was desperate to ask them. My main question was, do we call you Dr. White, Jean, or Mrs. White, or what's the deal? I'd never understood the NHS. You know, like some people are doctor, and you call them doctor, and they're very happy, and then some are doctor, and you say, hello, doctor, and they say, I'm not doctor. I'm Mr. Clayton Payne, or whatever, you know. I'm a consultant. And you go, oh, I'm a consultant too. And they go, no, I'm a proper one. It's a nightmare. Nightmare. The UK, full of intricacies. Look, this is where I live, okay? You can find me. I'm always safe to get my email address because half the people get my name wrong anyway, so I never receive it. The other half never write anything. But if you do want to write, I will always be delighted to answer any question you have. I'll never try to sell you anything. I don't have any time to deliver anything. So I won't try to sell you anything. The only thing that's going to happen is if you start stalking me, I'll just ignore you, okay? But that's the worst it's going to get. So there's nothing wrong there. I hope you do these things, and I hope you remember that something happened in this room, and something was happening through this drumming, and you laughed together, and you shared an experience together, which I hope can make your life easier as you go forth and make ours a lot better. So thank you so much for what you do. Thank you so much for listening to me at the end of the day, and I hope to hear from you. But if you have any question, I think we probably have 5 minutes or so. But thank you so much. Thanks for listening.